Your services may be great and you may be doing a great job in taking care of your customers. But what does all that mean if they don't show? You're going to end up wasting time and money. And therefore, the primary goal at your practice to increase revenue should be to reduce no shows. Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning into today's webinar with Emitter. I am Samiksha, a part of the marketing team, and today I'm going to talk about how you can reduce no shows for your business. There are unfortunately a billion reasons why there are the amount of no shows that you see. But before we go ahead and discuss how we can reduce them, let's look at three of the top reasons why people complain about no shows. 38% of all no shows are simply I forget. And probably you face that too a lot in your practice. But there are two other reasons to it. One is the financial aspect and the aspect of fear, especially for a medical practice. Now, let's start with fear. Now, healthcare examinations and doctors can be scary. You know, the environment may be uncomfortable, or the uncertainty of what the doctor is going to say may fret certain people away. So, patients do not tend to follow up on appointments or annual checkups just out of fear. The sheer anxiety is what you need to tackle better at your practice. And to do that, you need to give them a better roadmap as to what they can expect when they come and visit you. And creating like a compassionate environment at your practice may make the patient feel more welcome and less anxious. And therefore, that's how you can deal with fear. Finance is again a difficult topic, and not everybody is comfortable talking about it. And therefore, the conversation should be really clear from the start, especially in cases of insurance. It is ideal to be upfront about certain schemes and credit-based alternative programs that you are offering, and therefore that's something that can be dealt with transparency and information. Now, when we look at forgetfulness, it is very easy to forget an appointment in these really busy day and age. And forgetting a scheduled appointment does not cost the patient as much as it costs the practice. Let's look at why customers forget. Now, some of the reasons why customers forget could be a lack of communication, not being adaptive to technology, and that is something that's coming from the practice, or having a multi-channel communication. Now, let's look at some of the ways you are communicating with your patients. Now, 90% of them do not answer calls. And if that is something that you're doing for your practice, then you need to check on looking at another ways that you can communicate with your patients. 19% do not check voicemail. So make sure that your messages do not go to voicemail, and that's not the medium that you're choosing. Emails are never opened. In the busy day and age where my inbox is spammed, I wouldn't open an email about an appointment that I've made. So 88% of emails are never opened. What do we do then? What is this medium that we use so that we can reduce no-shows? So the alternative to that is the SMS. 98% of SMS are open. That's the open rate for SMS. And therefore, it's highly likely that your customer or your patient will look at an SMS before the appointment, and if not, come, but reschedule. So therefore, that's the channel that is most recommended, because people are always on their phone. And automating messages can reduce no-shows by 90%. Now, let me talk a little bit more about how we can do that. So automating messages can reduce no-shows, and it is a simple way to connect with your patients through their preferred mode of contact, which is the SMS these days. Now, when you send an automated SMS to a customer, you can ask them to schedule a booking. You can ask them to respond to it too. The two-way messaging allows them to interact with you on the same thread. This will also help you with digital check-in and updates so that the patients do not have to wait once they've come to your clinic. And you can also automate this by visit type. Now, what I mean by automate this by visit type is that every time a customer walks in, they're not coming with the same, for example, it could be a follow-up, it could be an online appointment, it could be a first-time checkup, it could be an annual checkup. Customizing the reminder according to the visit that they've had makes the connection more personal, and you'll also be reducing any sorts of miscommunication that could take place. So you can customize reminders by visit type, which will also help you, and keeping like digital check-ins and updates will also help you reduce waiting time consequently at your practice. And these are some of the ways that we think automation can help reduce no-shows at a clinic or at any other service-based company. Now let's look at how you can personalize your reminders. Now, personalization of SMS content is very important. It should start with some basic details, the doctor's information, what the patient needs for prep for the next appointment, and sending follow-ups. Most times, patients turn up without reports or certain requirements needed for a procedure. A personalized SMS will help them follow up in the way that you want them to. You can remind them of the report that they need or the particular test that they need to get done before they come and show up at your appointment. So you're not wasting time and rescheduling for the same patient and the same problem again and again. When we look at the frequency of communication that you need to have with your patient or your client, a great method could be the 333 method. Now, how does the 333 method work? It basically talks about reminders 3 weeks in advance, 3 days in advance, and 3 hours in advance. And you can customize these as well. For example, if I confirm an appointment 3 days before my scheduled appointment time, then the appointment reminder that goes out 3 hours before is just an appointment reminder and not a confirmation reminder. So that's something that you can play around with and customize as per the response that you receive from your patient or your customer. And a great idea to encourage and reduce no shows is to reward those who show up. For example, there's consistency with a patient who's coming on time for every appointment that they have. You can reward them with certain credit scores because they are valuing your time and money consequently. So that's a great idea. Incentivization always helps. Now let's look at how emitter can help you reduce no shows. Let's look at the statistics a little bit. 1 in 4 patients cancel within the last 24 hours. And anybody else in the waiting list would be happy to accept a last minute appointment. So 91% would be happy to accept a last minute appointment. Now, how do we deal with these two things? A cancellation and a last minute appointment. How do we communicate is the challenge that most of our customers were facing when we spoke to them about no-shows. Now, let me tell you something. Let's take a step back and talk about why cancellations are better than no-shows. For example, I get a cancellation at my clinic. I have the time to reschedule or ask another patient to come up on that time. So therefore, my slot doesn't go empty. But for example, a patient doesn't show up without any prior information, then I would have had wasted that time for the patient because the patient didn't show up. So therefore, filling last minute cancellations is very important for any business. And what you can do in a situation like this is create an active wait list and therefore save revenue and reduce no-shows while you're at it. Now, when we look at text messaging, 92% of text messages are read in the first 3 minutes. And how then we can use this automation of an active wait list and the fact that we know text messages are read in first 3 minutes, combine the two and come up with a way where we are not wasting any time and filling in last minute cancellations. Now, let me show you a little bit of what Emitter as the software can do for you here. So now, for example, on the 17th or the 16th, for example, 16th of August, I know I have a slot free between 1 to 2 a.m. Now I can select all providers and select the customers that I want to send out a reminder to. Once I select the customers, I can type in a message and tell them, now let's see how we can do this. For example, I know I have a slot free on the 17th on the 16th of August between 11 to 12, and I want an appointment of a customer booked next week to fill in this slot. I can simply go and select the date range here. Say anybody from 26th of August to the 30th of August can get this message. Type in a message and simply send them and tell them that, hey, we have a slot available and that you can fill it in. And therefore, when they receive that message, whoever can book the slot, the previous slot before, can get the appointment. And therefore, you know that a cancellation is now better than a no-show because you have an active wait list, and you can contact them you can contact them and tell them that, okay, there's a slot vacant and that they can come and make use of that time. So that's just one of the capabilities of Emitter that I was talking about. But let's look at something else that Emitter can do for you. What is its USP? So when we look at Emitter's USP, of course, there's automated reminders that I have spoken about. But the other way that it can help you is that it allows two-way texting. Now, what is two-way texting? Your customers can interact with you on the same number and reply to your messages on the same number without having the hassle of figuring out which number to come back to you on. We will text enable your landline or your any existing number so that your customers do not have to confuse themselves as to where they communicate with you at. Emitter also integrates with 1,000 plus CRM and EMRs, and therefore your database can completely get transferred to Emitter within 30 minutes. And we have a customer care provider who does that for you seamlessly. Emitter also provides same-day appointment reminders so your customers do not forget to come and show, and also gives you the option of getting confirmation messages. What that does is allows you to easily schedule and reschedule appointments as per your convenience to reduce no-shows. Emitter in the past has helped reduce no-shows by 90% at a practice.